G'day guys and welcome to the Centre Bounce for my round 2 team review from The Office. Stay tuned. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a different sort of setup today in The Office because, geez, Supercoach is taking a really long time to open up, and I didn't want to go through the ASMR version like I did last week, recording so late at night. So I just thought, you know what, we'll just leave it to Monday, and obviously Mondays are a really busy day for me going to record the number one footy podcast, actually called the number one footy podcast, which is why I'm no longer available on Monday live streams. But I just had to get this out so that we can talk about it. Yes, as the name at the bottom suggests. Last week I was Baz Fader. This week I am Gorn over Cherry Owner. But I guess, a little bit has to go with the team that I ended up fielding on the weekend and the different sort of score that I got. And sort of 1962, which is not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. Could have been better for sure if bloody Maxi Gorn. Unfortunately, I can't be too critical on him if he's going to be facing some issues in the, off the football field. Thoughts with him. Just obviously a little bit interesting that Simon Goodwin would air that. I also just realized that I'm wearing very casual clothes. It is after work, as you can tell by the clock above my head. It is after work, and I have just changed out. So this is not normally what I wear. But yes, I scored 1962 this week. Some other people have beaten me, but look, I take a 1962 when you take into account some of the poor scores that I had. None more disappointing than Tom Stewart being injured on 9. That sucks. And I just can't seem to get the rookie roulette correct at D6 when it's always the player that I field at D6 appears to be the worst performing rookie out of the 3. And so that's unfortunate. Gorney with a 67 was unfortunate, and Foster at 42 was also a little bit unfortunate because, as you can see, we got Zorko in the side. Yes, we ended up getting Zorko in because, one, I hate Geelong. Geelong and Chris Scott can get in the bin. Honestly, I'm not used to it here on this different computer. There it is. They can get in the bin. Both the Cats and Chris Scott can get in the bin because they knew from Monday. In fact, they knew from the game then and there that he had a calf complaint and did not report it, did not do anything in relation to whether or not he's going to go ahead. The updated injury list comes out. No mention, not even a test. When did they announce that Bailey Smith might be a layout? It wasn't even them. It wasn't even them. It was Mitch Cleary who was reporting after the Bulldogs Collingwood game that he's going to be a layout because of a calf complaint. Are you kidding me? Stuff you, Geelong. Stuff you, Chris Scott, and everybody over there, because we then had to really think on the fly. And if it wasn't going to be Baz getting into my team, it was going to be the guy that I had in my preseason for the longest time in the backline, Bailey Dale. I was going to have Bailey Dale in the backline for Perryman because I was so big on him and I saw exactly what I wanted to see from him. But unfortunately, he had already played and already scored that 140 plus score, which was an absolute bummer. And then I was super excited and super happy about the fact that I traded out Perryman's 50 odd score, only to then cop Tom Stewart's 9. So it's been, despite some of the issues that we've had on the field, for us to score what we did in 1962 is not a problem. Sheasel than 81. He's just finding his feet still. I did have there was a period of time where I was contemplating fading the Shees because we're paying up, I think, top dollar for someone who was going to be in the midfield at 635.6k. Just the DPP and the fact that he is a day cost echelon type player that we can get in the back line. Just in the end, I thought there was too much value in starting him because it meant that I wasn't going to have to bring him in. But just sort of discovering again, just being reiterated the lesson of if you start the top price players, you're not going to find value there, because if they perform subpar according to their price, they are going to plummet. And that's going to be the case for Shazel. Unfortunate, Stewart has presented a lot of value. This is just tragic. But Shazel's going to drop on a lot in value. Gorn's going to drop a lot in value. And the horny one's also going to drop a lot in value. So paying up top dollar is fraught with risk. You might think that it is a set and forget type of thing, but there are other players that are cheaper that you can set and forget as well. So Shazel, we're all going to finish with him in the team. I've just got him to start with. And there could be plays that I could make that involve trading him out. But the second you do, he's going to start putting it all together and going on this massive, ridiculous run. So Shazel's going to stay. I have a lot of other issues in my team. The Zorko the Magnificent, as the squad father likes to call him, very happy with him in the side. I'm so happy to the fact that I had him as captain, and he did not disappoint with another 136. As long as the body holds up, this guy is a top of line defender for sure. Stewart, don't have to talk about it. PCL, thankfully the reports are that it is low grade, but low grade, could mean it could be 1 to 2 weeks potentially. If it's a 1 weeker, I'm considering keeping him, which could be crazy. But we are in best 18 at the moment. So if there's ever a time where you can maybe take a risk with holding on to a premium if they're missing 1 week, this could be the time to do it and just really focus on improving on the cash gen, because that's it. A lot of these good rookies are going to be on the bubble this week. And we've got some of them, quite a few of them actually, but there are some that I really want to get in. Roberts with a 115, well done, good stuff. On the buy this week, and what wonderful options we have to loop with. Such wonderful options to loop. Oh my God. The backline is disgusting. Sure, he's lost all his kick-ins. The whole point of picking him, and we got sucked in. But the only saving grace is that he plays against the Saints this week, and the Saints are notorious for giving up points to defenders. So hopefully Short, what's his break even? 94. If he scores 95, he makes $300. Look, we're going to need something spectacular out of Short this week. And if there's any matchup that can do it, it's the Saints. So might be forced into holding him. We'll see. The three stooges in the back line, honestly. Rosie 130, very nice. Oliver 130, also very nice. Cherry 113, beautiful. Finn was on the buy, welcome back. Ashcroft had a big last quarter to get us up to over the 100, which is wonderful. His break even's at 71, so if he goes 83, he can score really well. And we saw that some of the mids, like McRae, for example, obviously we can't compare Ashcroft to McRae because McRae is top G at the Saints, but hopefully Will can. Look, he's got the run still to come. I've picked him for a reason. He's got Geelong. He's then got Richmond at the MCG. And he's got the Dogs at Norwood, small ground, which means that it's very likely that he can be involved in the play, even if he's not at centre bounces, because the ground is so small. It's almost impossible not to touch it. It also means increased avenue for tackling. Treloar's had a setback, so it is still going to be a weakened Bulldogs midfield brigade. So I just think I might hold on to Will, to be honest, before then having Collingwood at the Gabba, and Collingwood give up points to mids. So, I might just hold on to Will Ashcroft at the moment. Trading him will be pure luxury at this point. And right now, it's not about luxury. Right now, it's all about cementing the cash generation. Still got the good score out of him. Nod was really big on him and trying to, in all of those team reviews, when you guys sent in the teams, it was really big on Nod because he's getting centre bounces without Hayden Young, and he's just looking really good. So he's been wonderful. He's going to make us a bucket load of cash. Levi, 72, doing wonders for us. Nevitt, this should have been a higher score. His dream team, his fantasy to Supercoach ratio was quite poor, but obviously because of efficiency. But he just looks the goods, and Love him. Absolutely love him. Very reliable. Elijah, 78, 25 disposals, leading clearance getter, I think, for us as well. And then the news has come out that in the warm-up, he actually had injured his finger in the warm-up. Had to get a jab and still played it out without being the sub and without getting subbed out. To get 25 disposals and 11 clearances with a banged-up hand, which he's now going to miss games for, unfortunately. When you consider that, it's actually a great effort. I know he's a bit of a butcher, unfortunately, but getting a 78 out of him in a best 18 round, I took that score with the Callahan emergency. So, yeah, very happy with him, but unfortunately, because of that injury, he could be missing two, and then Parrish is coming back. But I think Parrish takes Hobbs' spot personally more than anyone because Hobbs is that inside tough ball winner, and that's exactly what Parrish is, but to a higher degree. So I think Sardis keeps his spot in the side personally. Camporeale, 52, again, subbed out, just doing what he has to do for us on the wing. Henderson was the guy that I ended up downgrading to because Patton is no longer in the side. I just thought Patton was a dead rook and wasn't going to be able to make us any money or come back, especially with all the injuries to come back, the injured players to come back for the Swans. So I thought Patton is done. We might as well get rid of him. And to afford Zorko with his wonderful run to come, I had to go all the way down to Henderson. And geez, I think he keeps his spot. He's been wonderful. A 72 and 99K. You just love to see it. So Henderson's wonderful. I can see a lot of people downgrading to him. Gorney, off-field problems, and DeConning. This could have been a much, much higher score if he wasn't stuck on the bench for quite a considerable amount of time in that last quarter. He lost a lot of points. Thankfully, though, we had Zorko to make up for it. Horn Francis, Ozzy Boyd was dropped, but Keeler was really struggling with his body in the game. And, depending on whether or not he gets the second gig, he did perform quite well, to be honest. So maybe Boyd just ends up being a loophole for us. St Kilda do play a lot of late games. The Horny one with a 61, geez, he's not looking great. He will definitely be dropping price. And that's the thing, what I was considering in the preseason, like fading this guy, because I'm just thinking, mate, at your price point, I could afford to fade. But then all of these various factors like Butters going out, the increased mid-rotation, the fact that Hinkley said that he wants him to be a full-time on-baller, plus the early run that they have. But then he just plays full forward in the game and cracks the cracks the shits, splits the dummy. It's just ridiculous. So Horn Francis 61. I think a lot of people that have had a fortunate or blessed start to their season can probably trade this guy out. I am unfortunately not in that situation. I do have quite a few spot fires that I have to put out in my team. But if I was in an advantageous position where I could maybe be overly aggressive as opposed to just trying to fix things out and trying to plug holes in my ship, Horn Francis might be one that I'm trading out. Rankin with a 97, he absolutely tore us a new one on the weekend, as I thought that he would. This was subbed out at three-quarter time, ladies and gentlemen. He was being managed. That's how bad we were on the weekend. We were so bad that they managed this guy at three-quarter time and he finished on 97. McRae is back, ladies and gentlemen. You'll love to see it. Daniel, this is what we're expecting. Pal Pepper, I held on to him because you were playing Richmond at home off the back of a devastating loss whilst they were coming off a miraculous win. It had to be a comeback to earth reality, moment. And Pal Pepper, you're a leader in that club. You have to stand up, and stand up he did. So an 83 for Pal Pepper. Very happy with that. And then we were looped on Davidson. Hall was the one that we traded in. Again, we had to go a bit cheaper with the rooks that we brought in. And I thought Hall looked like a really good player. And if he was able to score 70 odd in a smashing, I just thought meant that he had a pretty good role as well as pretty good job security and a good floor. But gee, that floor was tested. I think I might have broke him, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. But from what I saw, he did some really neat things. I think he was underscored. There were quite a few things that he did, these small little things that just simply did not, were not counted, I felt. So you can consider that maybe a biased owner, but I thought Max Holt did better than a 33. And Foss with a 42. That's just who he is as a player. He's not an accumulator, and he's not taking the kick-ins that often. So, yeah, Foss is going to go. And remember, it's all about the cash gen at the moment. I've got no one on the buy in the midfield, which is great. So that means I'm going to be fielding a full strength midfield this week. But it's all about nailing in the cash gen. So I think Lindsay is one that I'm going to probably get into the side on the bubble. Scored a 78 again. So his break even is going to be very, very low. What is it? His break even is negative 75. So that's really good. And he plays at the MCG again, which is a lot more favorable for wingers, more space to be able to pinpoint passes and receive uncontested marks. So Lindsay, I think, comes into the side. He's probably one that you need to get, one of those must-have rookies. And then the question then becomes, who else has to go? What other rookies are there that are really important that you just simply need to have? And if you come down to the by recommendation, and then you can come down to the projected dollars increase. So these are the players that have got really low break evens. And so Xavier Lindsay is certainly up there in terms of the money making generation this week. Levi Ashcroft's up there. We already own him, which is not a problem. Connor O'Sullivan is the other one that I'm really considering to get in. The question, though, becomes, how do I do it? And the question is, as well, is it worth bringing him in? Does he keep his spot in the side? Stewart's been reported it's a low grade, 1 to 2 weeks. I'm just not sure. Do I trade Stewart out if he's only 1 week? When you've got a premium and they're going to miss 1 game, you don't normally trade out a premium that's going to miss 1 game. Especially now where we have best 18. So maybe should be looking to do the best that I possibly can in fielding a really strong 18 this week. So it also becomes a question of whether or not Bailey Smith is going to come in or not. So there's a few question marks over this team and the direction that I'm going to go in. Elijah Sardis has been confirmed that he's going to be out. So it could be worthwhile that I trade out Sardis as well. But I just think he keeps his spot in the side. But it could just be, you know what, trade him out and get the money from him by being then able to trade in and get O'Sullivan. Connor O'Sullivan might be someone that I do bring in. His scoring certainly went up as soon as Stewart went down. Well, Stewart will still be out of the side this week, so he should hopefully score again quite decently. There's also one other rookie that might be good to have, and that is Elijah Hewitt. Elijah Hewitt is another one that I'm seriously considering bringing into the side. He's got the derby this week. He's playing a decent role. He's got a 52 and a 58 with DPP. And he's 122k. The question, though, is who am I trading out? That's the problem. So it could be one of these guys who are just slow burns that seem to have decent job security and that will continue to play. Could be one of them. Or it could be that I just let Elijah Hewitt go, or maybe a Connor O'Sullivan goes. It's a bit, to be honest, I'm still unsure of what to do. There's more news coming out every day, which should hopefully make things a lot clearer. But if Bailey Smith is back, then I do want to get him in. And I would prefer having Pal Pepper at F6 as opposed to F5. So it all really depends on who is named and who isn't named. But Tom Stewart will certainly be missing this week. It does kind of suck that I'm fielding potentially both Reid and O'Connell as a result. But if it's not that, I could just simply do Stewart and trade him to what's his face, to Bailey Dale. It could just be a sideways, or it could be an option to trade out Short to just Short. Just Short from doing Short to Bailey Dale. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate there. So I was hoping that could be something that I could do, but as you can see, I'm not going to go with Christian Salem. He got that prime distribution role with May out of the side. But I just think Shaw potentially could be someone that you hold, considering that he's got St Kilda this week. But I can completely understand if people want to move him on. If I am going to move him on, I'm going to need a lot of money. I'm going to need to have a lot of money. I mean, what could I possibly do? If I'm trading out Stewart, if I trade out Stewart for Dale, it's a little bit more. I mean, even then, I still can't get short up to anyone really worthwhile. Foss is playing this week, and his break even is 19, so he will make that. Whereas Sardis is not. So Sardis is not playing; he can be dropped. If I there's no 99k rookies apart from Henderson that are worth getting. You know what I mean? It's as you can see, it's a little bit disappointing to not have the funds or the extra trade. You know what I mean? Like, even with a boost, I'd love to be able to downgrade Foss and then get short up to like a Whitfield, for example. I would love having Whitfield in my side. Maybe you could trade Sheasel out. Sheasel's going to drop a lot of money. Sheasel's break even at the moment is 170. You know what I mean? So it could be a Sheasel. If it is Sheasel out, say it's Sheasel out, Whitfield in, but then I'm missing out on the problem is, and then if Stewart, for example, needs to go out as well, and we get Bailey Dale, and then we drop the injured Sardis, and we can get Xavier Lindsay. The problem then becomes that we don't have Connor O'Sullivan, and that could be a bad miss for cash generation in the back line. It also means that we miss Elijah Hewitt, which could also then, I think Elijah Hewitt has rock solid job security and can certainly make money, especially if the problem with him was that Colin Jasny was going to come back. There was no disputing his ability as a player. He's a wonderful player, but the question was whether he keeps his spot in the side. I might just roll and bank on the fact that he doesn't play, even though he looks really good. I mean, surely there's someone else who should be dropped ahead of him. But if I just do this, there's only so many players you can have. I could still downgrade Foss to someone else. Like, what happens? Like, how much is Hewitt going to go up? What's Hewitt's break even? -41. So if he scores a 41, he'll go up 37k. Yeah, I'm not going to spend 160 to 165 on Elijah Hewitt. Bice is a downgrade target for next week. It could be Foss down to Bice next week. That frees up a lot of money. It does. Frees up a lot of money that way, because Foss will have a price rise, whereas Bice will still be at 113. Or in fact, it could be short. Could be short down to Bice. Frees up a lot of money. But I do want to improve this back line. And unfortunately, if I trade out Stewart, I'm still stuck with the same 5. So I'm still not sure if that's what I'm going to do or not. But Whitfield, Zorko, Dale, especially Whitfield. These are guys that I've had at various stages during the course of my preseason. And in the end, I didn't start any of them, which is a little bit unfortunate. And started with the Shees. But as you can see, it's a little bit all over the place. And it just depends on what news are to come. I'm still a little bit uncertain. Gorn, I'm just going to keep. I'd love to sideways Gorn to Sherry. But we have a plan for Sherry. And we just have to stick with it, unfortunately. Gorn will drop in price quite a bit. But so will Sheasel. But the most important thing, though, I'm not going to lock those trades in because I'm not entirely sure that I am going to do those. The most important thing is making sure that you have the cash generation. That's the most important thing, because not all rookies are equal, and not all rookies are going to be generating cash at the same rate. I think there are some of the ones that are absolute must-haves. I think Nod, Levi, Nevitt are up there. Henderson seems to be up there. Davidson's, I think, but everyone's got Davidson. I think Hewitt might be up there. I think Lindsay is up there. So if I know that these two players are up there, and the thing is, Connor O'Sullivan might be up there as well. That job security is the one question. Might have to start reaching out to some Geelong supporters and see what they think, whether or not Connor O'Sullivan holds his spot in the side. Because if he is, then this could be the week of triple downgrade. Triple rookie correction. Could be Sardis down to say Lindsay. Could be Foss down to Hewitt. And one of these guys could go up. Like Reed could not look any worse. Trainer, they were absolutely destroyed away from home. O'Connell, I think he's got the shakiest job security playing on the wing. Maybe it's just forego Connor O'Sullivan because the job security risk is too much. And if I trade out short, at that point, who clearly is not going to be top of line and will most likely lose money, I could get a Bellydale in this way and then have 5 premiums. Stewart will be a premium when he comes back from his injury. He could only be a 1 weeker and just hold on to him. And then we've sort of improved our cash generation a bit more. If I just do it like that. Yes, he'll be missing, as will Roberts. So we're fielding both Reed and O'Connell this week and Trainer. That's probably the saddest looking backline you've ever seen in your life. And you will be correct. This is the saddest looking backline in the history of backlines. But if he's back next week, then he again kicks one of these guys out, as will Roberts be back. We'll kick one of those guys out. So the backline suddenly looks a bit better all of a sudden. Lindsay against the Suns. Maxwell against Richmond, he could do really well. And then Powell Pepper against the Bombers, we're going to get thumped. So yeah, Powell Pepper can stay there. And this could be the team going into next week. We could VC, we could keep the VC on DeConning against English. English is a pretty easy matchup for Rucks. Could go Rosie. He tortures us all the time. But I would hope that there's a strong response by the boys after that embarrassing performance against the Crows. So maybe we come out guns blazing, put effort into Rosie. So I might just go to Conning and McRae against Richmond at Marvel. They love playing at Marvel. And that could be the team going into next week. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, there's time between now and when the next round starts. But yeah, as you can see, it's a few question marks. It is, though, most important to nail your cash gen. And I think with Hewitt, Campo, Hendo, Nevo, Asho, Nodo, no, probably no, I'll stop. But I think with these guys, Lindsay, SPP, Hall, Stone, Depp, I think I've got the cash generation. I think I've got the cash generation which will hold me in great stead. And then potentially next week, whoever gets dropped of Reed and O'Connell, or maybe O'Connell. I think Reed would just simply have to play him because of our injuries and our lack of depth. But if O'Connell gets dropped for, say, a Travalia, comes in and takes his spot in the side, or whatever happens, that person will probably be dropped for Bice, and then Bice becomes an on-field option. Hopefully, Stewart is only a 1 weeker, and then the backline will look substantially better. The backline will be then Shee, Zorko, Dale, Stewart, Roberts, and Bice at D6. And if he's pulling out 80-plus scores on a regular basis, then that's wonderful. Then that backline can be put to the side, and we can just focus then on. I would love it if Bellydale did not, if Smith. if Baz Lenka does not play, would be great because it gives me an extra week then to before getting him in. But with these moves, it's a little bit unfortunate, but we've traded out 2 rookies and a mid-pricer for 2 rookies and a primo. So obviously we could have started this way and not been sucked into the short pick, but hindsight is 2020, as they say. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the team looks like going into next week. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Any sort of suggestions that you may have for me would be greatly appreciated. Enjoy the stream tonight, and I'll see you guys on Thursday for the drive home. See you guys.